Hi everyone. Yeah, it's been a while since I've uploaded on this channel. Yeah, it's been a bit of a crazy last 12 months, to say the least. Got married, bought a house, and all the DIY associated with it. Got a cat, mental health stuff. It's been crazy, but yeah, I want to kind of get back in the swing of doing these kind of videos again. Something slightly different to what I normally upload. Usually it's just like backup copies of the campaigns and adventures we've been running. But basically the objective of this video is a friend of mine approached me recently asking for advice about running a one-shot, and I thought this would probably be the best medium for me to do this, rather than just writing over Discord notes and all that stuff. Generally, I can understand the apprehension and the nerves that come associated with DMing, especially for your first time. But if there's anything to take from my video is you don't need to be nervous. I'm gonna try and do this in one take. It's gonna be tricky, but we'll get there. You don't even need to be nervous. If you are the one that gets a bit anxious, the best way I've found to help deal with that is by prepping. So there are various different processes and stuff I do to try and make life easier for myself. We'll go over that in this video, and hopefully some of it can help anyone that might watch this video. Right, on to the main bit then, I guess, is you've got two choices to start off with. You need to decide if you want to kind of use a resource that already exists, and there's loads of them. I'll quickly show one that I'm currently using as an example. It's really good if you're restricted with time and stuff like that, or if you're having writer's block, you don't think yourself as the creative type. There's loads of stuff out there that you can tweak and tune to your own preference, or you can run something of your own. Now, if you want to write a one-shot for yourself, there's just one really core golden rule when it comes to writing your own one-shot. First thing of all, choose a theme. You can get inspiration from anywhere really. It could be like a video you watched, movie, a book you've read, some funny memes, inside jokes, anything you can think of that your players might find amusing. I tend to lean more on the wacky and comedic side in my one-shots in particular, because one thing I found with my group in particular is they tend to go all out with the zany characters and experiment a bunch of stuff in one shot, whilst they tend to be more serious in the campaigns. So I'll lean quite heavily into that and enable the players. That's just my group. Might be different for your group, so you need to cater to the theme if it needs to be more serious, or wacky is fine. So yeah, if you want to write your own, like I said, one golden rule is you need a beginning, a middle, and an end. Now, yeah, it doesn't have to be super in depth. So for example, what I tend to do for my one-shot writing is I tend to keep it quite loose and not put much down in writing, and improv a lot of it, because you never know what your players are going to do at the end of the day, and you can be writing for days and your players might not touch even like 10% of what you write down. Don't worry, that's just part of the fun. You don't have to worry about that. So basically, the way I go about it is the beginning section, Act 1. You can call it anything you want. It's a bunch of different names for it, but it's the 3-act principle in a sense. For Act 1, the beginning is I use it as an avenue to kind of put a bit of exposition of what you expect your group to do in this adventure. So you could be a case of you haven't told your players what they'll be doing. This is a good opportunity to use this section to kind of explain what's expected. I tend to kind of give like loose description of what the adventure will be and not give much detail, so the group can be kind of surprised in a way by when they run it. So for example, you can have the patron, the point of contact, the job giver, whatever you want to call them, kind of give the job over to your group. And get them involved in the adventure. So you need to, it's basically a cheap way to get your group hooked into the adventure. Slightly different for big campaigns. You kind of have to have a reasoning why your group's doing what they're doing. One shot, it can be a bit more loose this side of stuff. So the beginning is kind of this, getting the grips of the dynamics of the group, the players talking amongst each other, probably the first time they're kind of seeing each other's characters. But you quickly move from this to the middle bit. So the middle bit is the area where I kind of try and present challenges to the group. They can kind of try out the characters, and I kind of cater it to the group in a sense of what classes they run, what they're kind of good at, what they're bad at. I kind of want to give everyone a moment to have a moment in the spotlight, as they call it. So basically you provide them an opportunity to excel and kind of be like, oh man, my character's really good at sneaking. Let's give it a sneaking section. Or if I've got a really high strength barbarian, for example, in the group, I'll provide an opportunity in the middle here to kind of like demonstrate their like feats of strength. You can kind of do that. And I want to understand, especially for one shots, sometimes your players will just turn up at the session as you go and you have no idea what they'll be playing, and they'll probably have some weird wacky punny name. If that's the case, it's good to have a good spread of like probably intelligence based stuff, like they have to figure something out, investigate. Feats of strength, they have to carry, be athletic or acrobatic, that kind of stuff. And then a bit of RP charisma style stuff, so you have to suss out who is the odd one out in this tavern, for example, the one I'm going to be running. So if you're unsure what they're playing, those three will tend to be like a catch-all kind of style thing. You can also throw a little mini boss in here. And lastly, that's the Act 1. Act 2, Act 3 is your end. This is your climax, your big finale. Usually this is a bit, especially for one-shots, you chuck a big bad boss at them, the bad guy, the big villain, and there's a big fight. One trap you don't want to fall into is just don't have it be a really boring fight. I tend to have something called escalations in my fight, which I jot down, where there are little twists that change the way the fight works. So you don't have it crazy how it works. I've got one written down here that the villain will just start running away. He's a bit of a coward. That could be one thing. Now the dynamics of the fight's changed. You now have to chase this guy down, and the high mobility characters and the like will excel this side of stuff. You can put like control stuff going in. They have to like dodge and weave between cover, maybe boulders being thrown at them. Yeah, it could be anything you want in this bit. So as long as it's just not you're just using a stat block against them, it's just like I hit you, you hit me, yada yada yada. It's not a very memorable fight. It has its place in adventures. In a one shot, you don't want that for your big villain. So think of like little twists to the fight to make it interesting, where the environment changes, the risk changes, or there's like a sense of urgency. That's a really good one to use. Put a time limit on something. For example, the villain lights a fuse and you have to stop him in 3 rounds, or kaboom. Loads of different stuff you could do here. But if you want to write your own adventure, that is it really. You just need a beginning, a middle, and an end. Secondly, if you don't want to write anything, or you have creative like block, you don't have time, you need to get something done real quick, have something ready. Could be a case of, as many DMs know, some people can't make it for the night, so you need to have a plan B. So there are resources out there, like I said, loads of stuff online. There's Reddit. God, there's so much stuff out there, and there's so much good stuff as well. We're kind of spoiled for choice in a way. The one I'm currently using is, just an example, is a little book here, One Shot Wonders. Managed to get a copy of this in the UK Game Expo this year, and it's absolutely fantastic for what it does. All it is a collection of little ideas and little plot lines you can kind of use to make your own one-shots. You can chuck in a campaign, do a little like mini campaign in it, do anything with it really. And the great thing is it's all contained in like a page 2 tops, and it's all summarized in like little bullet points. These are the main bits, these are the secrets and stuff involved. It just proves in a way that one-shots do not need to be scary. Yes, you might have to improv a little bit, think on the fly, but yeah, it doesn't have to be as intricate as the campaign. So if you do want to get yourself into DMing for the first time, my cat's decided to steal my headphones, so I'm just going to grab those real quick. Downside of doing this all in one shot, I suppose. But yeah, back. Cat crisis averted. Yeah, my cat has a habit of stealing both cables and dice, which is perfect storm really when you're trying to both record / DM. So he's tucked away happy with some treats, so hopefully that'll be okay for the rest of the video. But yeah, what we were talking about is resources, stuff out there that exists. So there's absolutely a wealth of stuff out there these days. You can get them from Reddit, even simple Google searches. If you just search for a one-shot, you'll get thousands upon thousands of good, high-quality one-shots. Some you might have to pay, some you don't. And to be fair, if you there are one-shots out there that specifically cater to new dungeon masters. So the way they write it in particular is set in a way where it will guide you from start to finish of how to run it. It's kind of like hand-holding in a way, but they are really, really good way to build up confidence, because that is the main thing that probably holds a lot of people back from DMing in any capacity, is the lack of confidence in it. Don't get me wrong, the Dungeon Master's book could be a lot better. They are doing another one for D&D in particular, so fingers crossed, because the hobby definitely needs more Dungeon Masters, because there's plenty of players. It's just finding someone willing to run it. But yeah, there's loads of stuff out there. I quickly showed off One Shot Wonders book I've got there. I've got like various different PDFs of stuff I've like paid for. There's stuff like Pay What You Want. Drive-Thru RPG is a really good place. Oh, there's loads and loads and loads. So have a Google. Reddit is another one that's great as well. There's loads of stuff out there. You do lose a little bit of flexibility of able to run it, kind of cater it to your group in a sense. If you have like a little joke you kind of want to explore in a way, it makes things a little bit more tricky in that capacity compared to writing your own. But if you just want peace of mind, zero stress, I highly, highly recommend just grabbing a resource and running it and building up confidence that way. Now, for actually running the session itself, I do all my DMing through online. That's kind of been a thing since COVID. I do have local game stores and the like, and it is on my kind of to do for the year to try and build up the confidence to actually DM to strangers in the store. Getting there, but it's definitely on my to do for the year. I was going to share a couple of things I have on hand that makes my life easier while I run the session itself. So I have my little notes in a little notebook. So what I have there is kind of somewhere for me to write initiative. There's various tools if you want to use those as well. I tend to go classic with pen and paper, which arguably is not great, but it's the way I've always done it. So it's kind of like an old habit. I also have written down the flow of what I kind of expect for the adventure to go. Again, it's a one shot, so it's probably going to be a little bit of railroading. You do have some wiggle room there, especially considering how loose we do the writing and stuff for it. There's a lot of given like leeway kind of from the group to kind of approach things in a different way than you might plan. But I have a general flow of what I kind of want to happen in that one shot. Usually it's like a time limit of you need to get this done. You don't want to sit there for like 3 weeks in a row doing this one shot, if that makes sense. So especially for ours, they tend to be quite like only like 2-3 hour sessions are quite short compared to what a lot of people out there do, I'd imagine. I've heard people go as high as like 6-8 hour stuff, which unfortunately with our work schedules and the like just doesn't work. So I have to kind of get through the story quite quickly, and our group tends to like going off the rails quite frequently, so keep that in mind. But yeah, I like to have kind of a flow of what I want to happen. Also, a good habit to write down is any important names, locations, anything you might want to have at hand, quick reference. You don't have to just scroll through your more in-depth stuff. So for example, if you use a resource, you don't want to look up this NPC's name. If you're writing yourself, you kind of want to know like what's this tavern's name, that kind of stuff. So I tend to have that kind of written down. And also I have either pen and paper or I have a little tablet, stat blocks. Have those ready before you run the session. It will make everything 10 times easier for you than having, there's nothing more awkward than having to search up for a stat block mid-fight or anything like that. It just slows down the tempo and uses up the time you could be doing for other stuff. So have those on hand ready. And that's it really. Online, you need your tools. It could be Roll20. I use Owlbear Rodeo. Loads of stuff out there now. I also use something called Kenku, made by the Owlbear Rodeo people, that kind of puts music into Discord and stuff. There's a little bit of like hoops to get it to work. Nothing too crazy. They've got really good YouTube series on how to do it. Just for like music and the like. But that's really it for a one shot really. If there's anything to take away from this video, from my ramblings really, is you don't need to be scared. One shots tend to be very casual. People tend to mess about a lot on it. That's fine. It's a great way to get into dungeon mastering in particular. And to be honest, it's all about building confidence. You quickly realise it's not as scary as you might think. Yeah, there might be some rules you might get wrong and the like, but generally, rule of cool it. If it sounds right or sounds really cool, make it work. There's loads of stuff, just wing it. If something fits, you can always find out what the rule is afterwards. And as long as you players have fun, that is mission accomplished, really. But remember, you have to have fun as well. But yeah, prep is really good to help with anxiety and all that stuff, to minimise it. But yeah, it's just a case of jump in there, have your stuff ready, and go for it, really. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to run a one-shot. I'm going to probably upload, depending on what my group... The humour can be kind of dark at times, so if it gets a bit too dark, I'll probably opt not to upload it, but fingers crossed there'll be well-behaving adults this evening, and I'll upload an example one-shot. So I'll be running something from that One-Shot Wonders book, because we had some cancellations and the like, people doing stuff that can't make it tonight. So I'm just going to just run something. I quickly make tokens, quickly grab maps, pop them to Owlbear, written down kind of what's going to happen in a session. I have no idea what they're going to play, except for 2 out of the 4 people I know what they're going to play. So we'll see how it goes, and we'll try and use those kind of things I covered in this video, so you can have like a working reference to work off what kind of how I approach a one-shot. But if any questions, anything like that, let me know. Like I said, I'll try and do a bit more of these, and I'm rambling. I can tell I'm rambling, so I'm going to end it there. Thank you very much for watching.